track. Anton De Pasquale, who'll start from pole position, and Tom Randall alongside him, the 23-year-old from Melbourne, who's also had international experience. He's got Marcus Koch, his engineer from the Formula 3 days here, working with him this weekend as well.
Both on the front row. They are cool-looking cars. That carbon fibre, stealth-looking entry of Thomas Randall up close, it looks amazing. And we hark back to Sandown. Rubens Barrichello in that car that Anton De Pasquale is driving this weekend with its tip of the hat to the Ferrari colours of the day when Rubens was in Formula 1. Will Brown here wasn't so happy yesterday, but I mean, off the back of victory in TCR, and I spoke to him prior to that race. He said he's a lot happy with this car as well, and was able to wrestle it, get it to that second row of the grid. We've got a great battle on our hands here. John Martin's got terrific, as you've detailed, international pedigree, and the danger man in the pack didn't have a great run in qualifying, knows these cars intimately, Tim Macro.
He'll start from position number 7. The wind has just picked up. You can see the flags right-hand side of screen. They were dead set flags at the start of this race earlier today, and they are now a crosswind at this Ben Motorsport Park as we get set to let them loose on the formation lap. Bit of a rule change, a qualifying format change to this one. At Sandown, we had basically a draw of a hat if you were fastest in qualifying. Today, it's how you qualify. Tomorrow, we reverse the grid and then set it for the feature race here tomorrow afternoon around the Ben Motorsport Park.
I've lost it in the fair dinkum department. This is awesome. Braden Wilmington, we spoke to Gary on the grid there before. Great work by Aaron and Cam. Braden's had more recently speedway experience. We're used to seeing him at the wheel of a speed car, a sprint car. He's raced in the United States as well. The speedway fraternity, I know, have been messaging us. They're watching the action and they're keen to see how he goes. You could not get anything more different in many respects, could you?
And they're also concerned he might not come back after driving one of these S5000 cars. Braden Wilmington in their own BW Motorsport entry. It's an ex-AGI car that ran at Sandown. Like you said, he started his career in junior sedans. He beat a category on dirt track racing before moving to speed cars when he was 16. And lately powering a 900 horsepower sprint car around in Sydney and a couple of stints over in America. Similar horsepower, different kind of racing though for Wilmington.
He's doing both. I think he said to me he's still going to do the Australian titles in the speed car, which is huge. So awesome stuff. Wait till they unleash the horsepower. Coyote V8s, they sound amazing. 5 litres. Chris Lambden is kind of the godfather, if you will, of this series. He's like a proud dad every time I see him, and he's always got a story. He'll say to me, hey, James Golding, such and such, you know. He knows everything that's happening with the class. We cannot wait for 2020. Seeing these things at the Australian Formula 1 Grand Prix in Melbourne, seeing them at the mountain. Imagine some internationals as well. You're right on Jimmy Golding here. There is an international in this field, we should point out too. James Winslow, who's a guy with an Australian Gold Star, more than one to his name, experience in Formula 3, who's been racing in ELMS, or the European Le Mans Series, things like that, and in Asia as well. He's in the car. There it is, coming through there now, the Astron Tech entry that was in the hands of Alex Davison last time out.
I bumped into Alex just before. I said, you missing it? He had the big crash earlier at Sandown. He goes, I can't wait to get back behind the wheel of an S5000 car. Here is your grid, and it was a 1:41.2 in qualifying this morning for Anton De Pasquale. He was 500s clear of Tom Randall. That's your front row. John Martin and Will Brown square off on row number 2. James Golding, the Boost Mobile entry, starts out of position number 5 alongside Ricky Capo. We go back to Tim Macro, James Winslow. The quiet row there. Wait for those two guys to unleash. Michael Gibson and Braden Wilmington will start from position 9 and 10 here today.
Michael Gibson's a great young guy. He's enjoying being a part of this class, and his family has history in Australian motorsport, and they've got guys that are working in that team that have Formula 1 experience as well. So that's another cool story that we'll share with you over the weekend. It's our second race in the live coverage here on SBS. Tomorrow, of course, we've got even more, a bumper 3 hours to come your way. 2 races as far as car sales TCR is concerned, and you'll see more from S5000.
Cannot wait for it. I was really excited to see these cars hit the track on Thursday and what was a private test day, and the fast-flowing circuit here at the Ben Motorsport Park that opened last year. In fact, this series, well, the Shannon's National Series, opened the track. The curtain came up on this track, and since then it's just continuing to evolve. There's a karting track just behind this shot down at the final turn. There's a four-wheel drive track. There's a caravan park. There's a Ridges Hotel here as well. It's going to be an incredible facility, it already is, and just an hour and a bit drive from downtown Adelaide.
Including the Matt Nolte South Australian Presidential Suite is
Well,
there.
it is.
In the hotel.
Three times I've stayed here this year for unforeseen circumstances. It is a great complex, no doubt about it. And now they come into position. Anton De Pasquale, Tom Randall, just beautiful. I don't think any black and gold car looks bad. They've turned out another stellar one as they aggressively attack this track. Pulling into position now. De Pasquale and Randall. Wow. You saw these two guys on the entry list going, well, they'll be together, but they're at the front row together, but separated by the tiniest of margins during qualifying. Tomorrow we flip them around. Then the big feature race of the afternoon in this second round of S5000. Randall pulling the belts tight. Anton De Pasquale ready for blast off here. 12 laps, it'll fly on by when you're looking at lap times at just over 100 seconds at 4.9 kilometres per lap. Green flag waves at the back. 560 horsepower at 8,000 revs, ready for blast off, and it's Randall by a mile who gets the jump. We saw big moves from Macro in the field as well, and James Winslow in the Astron Tech entry. But down to turn number one, it's going to be Randall. We're on top of the Boost Mobile entry of James Golding down to turn number one.
Oh, I was away for the Sandown round. This is the sound that has echoed up through the commentary box here of these things getting unleashed. The thunder is unbelievable. I now know what everyone's been talking about. I've seen them in a demonstrational sense right throughout the Shannon's Nationals this year. To see them racing on track together, unleashed like this, is tremendous. Sneaking up the inside, that's Macro on the Astron Tech entry. Little loose, that's Winslow, catches it, good job.
That was great, down the hairpin. We saw some passes like that earlier today in the TCR race. There's Will Brown, double duties. He's just stepped out of the Hyundai in the last race that he won. He got the car up on the curb there for a moment. He gets the curb again. It's unsettled the KMC Wheels entry. This car being prepared by Eggleston Motorsport this weekend once again.
Look at James Golding. It's a watching brief for him. Look at him there. He looks strong in that boost entry, doesn't he? So De Pasquale has 0.6 up his sleeve over Martin. It's been a really nice... Oh, sideways, Brown! Brown catches it! But that has allowed James Golding straight through. That'll get the heart started. Oh, man.
Great recovery at the same spot we're having issues during qualifying earlier today with. So he slots back in behind and heads down towards the final turn. But it's Randall with De Pasquale still running second. He's got a good margin already as Randall. It's the final turn, so that's one lap just like that here at the Ben Motorsport Park. And a 23-year-old in the Penrite entry roars past the commentary position here at speeds of nearly 280 kilometres an hour.
How good is the advantage that Randall's already been able to eke out? Nice work. Martin, everything coming up to temperature. Let's keep an eye on him. Will Brown, a bit of a reset. It's Wilmington at the back of the pack. Here's a replay of the start. Look at it, lights it up. Randall's out of there.
Huge start, was it? Ideally on the best side of the circuit as well, and from that point was unchallenged. Look at the field fanning out Golding, Ricky Capo. This was the view from James Golding into turn number one on the Actron Air replay, and it was busy with a capital B here through turn one.
Brown getting sort of just checked there a little bit. He was on the right place for the first corner, then on the outside for the next one. Here's the slide for Brown. Look at that.
That was huge. Braden Wilmington will watch that mate later on going, we need to get him in our car later on. That was huge. From the 38, he got the dust, and the KMC Wheels entry snapped sideways, and Golding just had a quick look in the mirror, no doubt, a bit of a smile inside the helmet of that car.
Boy's brave, he's brave. Back to live action here for you now at the Ben Motorsport Park. Tim Macro looks racy, trying to find a way. They keep the tidy line there. They're aware now. They've reminded themselves, okay, bit of dirt or a bit of debris in that part of the track. We need to keep it clean through there. Macro looks fast.
Brown is struggling with this car still. He's seesawing at that wheel. Still not happy. He was frustrated after practice yesterday here with both his cars. Well, he turned the Hyundai around during race number one. I'm not sure if the gremlins are out of this KMC Wheels car at the moment. He's got Macro just behind him and Winslow through the final turn. We go to complete another lap. Tom Randall, well, he's out of here. Already down at turn number one. De Pasquale still runs in second position. How cool they sound.
They sound so cool. Numbers aren't quite what we saw in qualifying, but let's see if they can edge them down as the race goes on. So a bit of defensive stuff there from Macro, so that's not ideal, the line that he had through turn one then, and that gives Brown just the breath, the breathing space that he needs once again. Martin starting to stitch together some good sectors here, Matt, so he's just settled in that first lap and a bit. Now he's really starting to come on strong. Let's keep an eye on John Martin.
And what the drivers found at Sandown was the more the racing come on, the better these tyres performed. So unlike we see with other tyres, they're great in the first couple of laps, these tyres, these Who's Your tyres, get better as the race evolves here. You're watching James Winslow now. British-born racer who's been out here many times, and off the track, goes back road. He's done it again. We saw him go off in qualifying today, and that's a big lose for car 23.
The guy that many feel is the benchmark in this class, given the amount of testing and the involvement that he's had along the way. Didn't expect that from Macro.
He had a lose during the feature race as well on the restart lap at turn number 1 at Sandown. And now that'll drop him down the field. It releases Winslow and Ricky Capo here in the Valvoline number 34 car. Here's the replay again. So we just picked up the dust. We're watching Winslow, and there's a shower of dust come into our shot on the Actron Air replay.
He's just run wide, I think, Matt, has he? Just pushing the car.
And lucky.
In chase mode. Meantime, James Golding starting to bolt together some nice looking sectors. This is actual, this tells you the story. So the Penrite entry in the hands of Randall leads the way by 2.2 over Anton Di Pasquale. We then go back to John Martin and continue our way through the field here. Here's Winslow, and in behind him, Ricky Capo, who's currently position 7.
Once again, James Golding having a great day out aboard that number 31 car with great support from Boost Mobile on it this weekend. That's Ricky Capo in the Valvoline entry, the Modena Engineering prepared car, who's just ahead of the likes of Gibson. Braden Wilmington up into 9th spot now, and Tim Macro with a lot of work to do after that big lose around the backside of the Bend Motorsport Park.
Here's a little wish list for 2020. Where will James Golding end up? Now, let's say he scores a ripping endurance drive as a co-driver. I'm playing hypothetical. I don't know the answer here. Wouldn't it be awesome to see him do a full season in these things to complement that?
I wouldn't rule it out. Absolutely wouldn't rule it out right now. And further stories around, we'll have more cars on the grid next year. Some more international drivers sniffing around perhaps, and Cam, maybe yourself might get a drive in one of these.
Yeah, not after some of my recent form, Matt Nolte, but what I will tell you is that Tim Macro in the session earlier today, when he had that spin, it actually had his rear wing open up, almost like you'd see it in the DRS system in Formula One. He's running a different end plate system on the rear wing to everyone in the field. They don't have any new componentry to be able to adjust that, though. I did ask, would this be the same thing that happened to him in qualifying? And the team said no. So far, their read is that he's just gone in too hot this time, but very different circumstances to qualifying.
All right, thanks to Cameron Vanderdungen in the pits, along with Aaron Noonan, who I'm sure have got one earpiece out at the moment and listening to this amazing sound of the S5000 cars. You ride with Anton Di Pasquale, heading down towards turn number 1, this big 1 kilometre long straight, where we saw speeds of 280 k's an hour as the former Australian Formula 4 champion works away at the wheel of this number 99 car. He trails by 2.7 seconds to Tom Randall.
Now's not the time for me to get all deep. Life's a great journey, right? He was a guy that was, you know, in open wheel terms, Anton Di Pasquale, a bucket load of talent. Okay, the international expedition didn't pan out. He's gone on to really cement himself with a great career in this country, but it is wonderful to see him dabbling like this again and showing the talent we knew he had in an open wheeler. Awesome stuff.
Yeah, 100% agree. He returned to Australia to drive for Paul Morris Motorsport a couple of years ago. He really started to shine in the Super 2 competition.
Proudly with Betty Clemenco and the team there at Erebus now. Loves being a part of that operation.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And you can tell that from the interview we showed you prior to the start of the coverage. He was smiling brightly, wasn't he?
And his co-driver in Enduros is running out there as well today in Will Brown.
But he's got the upper hand of it.
Absolutely. So down the hill they go through turn 13, 14. That's John Martin also doing double duties today. He's another guy with years and years of open wheel experience over in Europe as well. He was a former Super League Formula champion for Australia back in 2011 as well. Former Australian Formula 4 champion back in 2006. He picked up 8 wins that year on his way to winning the series. And doing a fine job here at the moment. He chases Anton Di Pasquale for second position, but Tom Randall, 141.62. We are around the qualifying mark now set early this morning.
That is mighty from Randall, who really had his eyes and his heart set on pole position after dominating Friday practice. Now, that didn't happen. Di Pasquale snatched it right at the very end of the session. Randall's making a statement here, isn't he?
4/10 away from the pole time from earlier today. So expect that to happen as it starts to get lighter. These tyres start to get temperature. As the field look on. Down into turn number 1 we go. Halfway home here in the first qualifying race for S5000.
Was that Gary O'Brien there from Auto Action on the balcony? He loves this style of racing, doesn't he?
He'd be in a time warp right now. He loves it. Braden Wilmington, 10th position, just finding his feet in the S5000s. Let's go back to Aaron Noonan.
Hey boys, something that just popped into my brain, and you guys will probably pick up on this, but have a look at the top 3 that are running in this race and their relationship with the Ben Motorsport Park. They've all had success here in some way, shape or form this year. Remember, Anton Di Pasquale was on the podium for Erebus in Supercars. Tom Randall made his main game debut the same weekend as a wild card and acquitted himself really, really well. And John Martin in that AGI Sport car, remember when we first came here for TCR earlier in the year? That Honda Civic Type R won a race here. So all 3 have got themselves in with their eyes in at this place over the course of 2019. It's not really much surprise, is it, that they're running in the top 3 here? They know their way around here.
We reckon there's a future for you with a little tag called the Sleuth. Go with it, mate. Well done.
Do I have to pay you any money for that?
No, you don't. I think it might already be patented just quietly. Go well, mate. Nice pickup. Randall by 3.96 seconds over Di Pasquale. We're drifting back to look at this battle here that involves Winslow in 6th position and Ricky Capo in position number 7. And they're ahead of a couple of guys that are kind of emerging in this class. Michael Gibson, position 8, and Braden Wilmington, who you pointed out before, still learning, coming to grips. But over the weekend, the chunks of time that the likes of Gibson and Wilmington have found has been substantial.
Wilmington qualified with a 1:46 earlier today, and he's running around the same lap times in the race. They're just trying to string together some consistency aboard his number 89 car as we follow James Winslow and Ricky Capo around the backside of the circuit here, 6th and 7th, lap 7 of 12 here, the Ben Motorsport Park. This is the qualifying race number 1. Tomorrow, we flip the grid. We'll start the winner from the back of the field. We then combine all that for the final feature race of the day, which will follow the 2 Car Sales TCR Australia Series races tomorrow.
Winslow at the wheel of the car that was involved in that incident with Alex Davison at Sandown. Structural integrity was remarkable. Great repair job by everyone involved. Winslow actually at the time was running at Spa in the European Le Mans Series, but he said, I kept getting bombarded by people in Europe. They're saying, hey, what's going on with this S5000 class at Sandown? Lots of people chatting about it.
It's great to have him back in Australia as well, originally from Essex in the UK. We've seen him out here before in the Formula 3 Australian Championship. He spent a stint over an Indy Light Series for the Andretti Autosport team and Sam Schmidt. Raced at the Freedom 100, the curtain raiser to the Indianapolis 500 that year as well. And also represented Great Britain back in the day of the A1 GP Series back in the late 2000s.
If only he'd been a bit more global. Hey?
Yeah, hardly experienced at all.
Very good. Very good to have him as part of it. Now, Brown. We're starting to see from Will Brown some solid sectors. The benchmark lap belongs to Thomas Randall. It is a 1 minute 41.59 from our race leader, who keeps just laying down the laps. He has a 4.4 second advantage over Di Pasquale. Here he is in the Penrite de Vilbus entry. It looks amazing in this black and gold colours. But it's Brown now. His best so far is a 41.71, but that first sector from Will Brown looks damn good.
Down the inside goes Macro, so he's trying to make the move back through the field. That was for Michael Gibson in the WM Waste entry. So after spinning and losing maybe 5 or 6 seconds, he's now got past car number 11. I think that's about as far as he'll get at the moment, with 13 seconds to Ricky Capo. And only 4 laps to go at the end of this race.
Good yardstick, though, for Michael Gibson to be with this guy for a few laps. And they've been able to draw on some knowledge within the, some of them within the team structure there, for example. Michael in that same pit area as Tim Macro, and obviously John Martin.
Some of your laps on the top of the screen there, your totem pole with Randall, Di Pasquale and Martin. Here is the leader coming down to finish another lap. Once you grab the remote control at home, let's crank it up at home and have a listen to these amazing S5000 cars.
Can we do that again, Mr. Director?
The best part of our job, pausing, listening to the cars.
Hope you enjoyed that at home. It's just wonderful. We've got a great mixture of everything here, as we said. Something that taps into the history that this class has. It's a modern take on it with a beautiful new chassis, complete with the halo that you see in all sorts of open wheel classes globally. It has all that FIA international endorsement, but powered by a V8 engine. Great class.
Yeah, it's really well developed, and a lot of planning by Chris Landon and the crew to get it to where it is now, as Capo thought about the move at the hairpin. He's really starting to apply the pressure to the back of James Winslow here on lap 9 of 12. Meantime, it's come down again. 1:41.3 this time for Tom Randall. The gap is out to nearly 6 seconds.
He said to me yesterday, a 1:40 is possible. Now, that's the kind of number he felt. He went wide in the final turn in qualifying, and he knew that he'd lost a couple of tenths. He was pretty convinced that maybe a 40.9 was on the cards. Maybe we'll show him do that. We jump on board with Michael Gibson. We'll sit it out here in commentary terms. Just enjoy this.
Go from Gibson to Braden Wilmington now, similar liveries for the 89. He runs back in 10th position as he works his way around to the final sector of the lap. Closing stages of this first qualifying race for S5000 here today at the Bend Motorsport Park. Works his way to turn number 12. It looks like all that dirt and dust that was there early in the race is now gone. As we pick up Tom Randall.
He keeps doing it. 41.374 is the fastest lap of the race so far.
That time around 41.7, so 4 tenths away, but doesn't matter.
But here's the first sector. That's what, sorry, that's what I'm referring to. Look at the first sector. He's gone what we call in the game magenta or purple, which tells you that it's the fastest sector of the race so far. He keeps hitting it out of the ballpark, doesn't he?
Just really settled with this car. Now he works his way towards turn number 12 on this circuit. I get the feeling we're going to see a lot more of Tom Randall in the S5000s next year. And a list of achievements for just 23 years of age. UK experience. Oh, we put the micro on him here at turn 13. And he's flying here right now. This is going to be looking likely maybe for a 41.1 if he gets it right. Remember, I cursed him during qualifying earlier today. He doesn't need to do this, but why not?
Pushing, you can tell from the way the car's moving around there how much. Right on the very limit. Let's see if he can sneak into the 40s. If he doesn't, it'll be very close. It's a 41.33. So he did lose, as you could tell from the behaviour of the car, a little bit of time in that final sector. But the first 2 sectors were the best we've seen in this race so far, and we're heading for home.
It's a 100th or so on what he, but he lost a lot in that last sector, like he did in qualifying today. So it might have to wait for tomorrow at this point, but that's the margin back to Anton De Pasquale. Car 99 that we remarked at the top of the race, driven by Formula One star Rubens Barrichello at the first ever appearance. And Rubens absolutely loved being back in Australia, back behind the wheel of an open wheeler, particularly a red car.
We loved having him here too. And you know what Thomas said to me, Thomas Randall? He stayed in touch with him. He took Rubens to the race workshop.
Listen to this. Almost like that corner in Turkey at the old Formula One track, but in reverse direction where it just kept turning left. This case, we just keep turning right for Anton De Pasquale.
And for the avoidance of doubt, that wasn't a pre-recorded piece, that's live.
That's live.
That's real speed, real speed.
Here he is, the top of turn number 13. He's not going to catch Tom Randall here today unless Randall makes a mistake. I'm touching wood at the moment as he works his way around the backside of the circuit here. It's still Martin running third. James Golding is next. Will Brown, James Winslow. We go back to Ricky Capo, Tim Macro is next. Gibson and Wilmington of the 10 cars here today in their first appearance in South Australia for the S5000s.
Looks like Golding's quite close to Martin in the background for third there as well, so we'll just keep an eye on that. 41.25 now for Randall. final lap of the race, will he better that marker and maybe set the quickest one of this race on the final lap? 141.25 from Thomas Randall. He has an 8.3 second advantage. Wild stuff.
Different postcode. Well, we keep an eye on this battle between Martin and James Golding, so it's not over here for third and fourth position. Got the Boost mobile car in the slipstream through the sweeping left-hander into turn number 5, the hairpin. We saw a lot of late braking happening there today in qualifying. He's glued to the back, but will just have to stay behind the back of the AGI Sport entry.
Handful of corners to go, if he can get it done. I can't believe it's nearly 9 seconds. Now, the first sector for Randall wasn't as sharp as we've seen on other laps, so maybe that's the best one we'll get, but a 41.25 is a heck of a marker here around the international circuit at the Bend Motorsport Park. We are heading for home in our qualifying race 1 in S5000. Randall did not top the quali session earlier this morning. He was a bit miffed about it, but as I said before, he has really made it clear his intentions in this one.
Around to the final turn. Class act all day. From the minute the lights went out, he had the best start, led the field through turn number 1, slides his way out of the final turn, and Tom Randall grabs the checkered flag in the qualifying race number 1 here today of S5000, and will do it by a monster margin here. Over 9 seconds to Anton De Pasquale at the finish line. Martin's just going to hold on for third position here from James Golding.
He did a 141.61 on the final lap. It was nearly 10 seconds. 9.8 seconds between Randall and Anton De Pasquale at the end. Martin holds on for third place ahead of Golding, and Brown gets home in 5th place. There he is.
And 1.5 seconds quicker than De Pasquale on the last lap alone for Tom Randall in the first qualifying race, which will flip around tomorrow. We'll see Braden Wilmington from pole position for that race here early in the morning. But for now, Tom Randall picking up where he left off. All those years of open wheel experience, hand off the wheel. Chuffed with that victory, and well, he might be too, because that was a dominant win here today.
What's that line about confidence breeds confidence? Comes from a podium at the Sandown 500, rocks up, jumps in the Penrite entry here, and tops the chart by 9.8 seconds at the end of that qualifying race. Anton De Pasquale, I think, played it smart there. There was no need for him to do anything risky. Car may not have been the equal of what Randall had to offer. Anton will sharpen that up, make no doubt about it.
Yeah, there's another race to come here tomorrow. James Golding behind the top 3 there in 4th position. Will Brown, James Winslow, Ricky Capo, Tim Macro in 8th, Michael Gibson and Braden Wilmington. The 10 cars that started and all finished on the lead lap here today in qualifying race number 1, or S5000. We'll head down the pit lane. I'm sure Chris Lambden is a very happy man. He's with Cameron Vandendungen.
Yeah, Chris Lambden, has been a long time since this was an idea, just ticking away, I'm sure, in a workshop somewhere. Look where we are today. You must be so proud.
Well, yes, obviously, and this is our second trial event, if you like, leading up to next year. And when you look at the quality of the young guys in the field, driving these cars that are performing as we wanted them to, you know, low downforce, driver skill, all that kind of thing, I'm pretty happy.
And is that exactly what you wanted to deliver? When this was first an inkling of an idea, what was it? What was it that brought about a brainchild that became S5000? Where did that come from?
Oh, it probably started because I got involved in a historic Formula 5000 car. But to be honest, we set out to create an open wheel formula that would work in Australia. Had to have a V8. Looking at other formulae around the world and then the criticisms that you wanted low downforce, good grippy tyres, lots of power. So it was a challenge for the drivers, not the engineers.
All right, Chris Lambden, I'm going to let you get back to it, but mate, well done on putting together a wonderful category.
It's great, thanks for it.
Well, Thomas Randall has just arrived back in pit lane here, the winner of qualifying race 1 here at the Bend Motorsport Park. He told me before he got in this car, he told us on the grid that he didn't know how to start these cars or what to really do with them. I've got a funny feeling that he's got a pretty good idea now as he puts the steering wheel back on. Number 1, we'll get him out here over the halo, which he's going to be a little bit careful about in the S5000. We'll let him take his helmet off too. Of course, Tom Randall, one of the young stars of Aussie motor racing and the young guns that have run in supercars this year. Now S5000, Anton De Pasquale's pulled in, John Martin's pulled in as well. And Thomas Randall is going to take off. Hey, I've got a little present for you here. Here, bang that on there. The Hoosier tyres did their part. The hat's on the head. Hey, you told me you didn't know how to start these cars. You took off like a veteran and absolutely blitzed them.
Yeah, it was awesome. I didn't know what to expect. Yeah, I think Anton and I had a very similar reaction time, but it just lit up and off we went. So I looked in my mirror and I knew I was pretty clear into turn one, so I didn't have to defend. But yeah, I got my fingers jammed in the TCR door before the race, so I was a little bit worried about that. But now the hands are okay, and just got to thank everyone from Team BRM. Awesome car to drive, and yeah, already looking forward to tomorrow.
Hang on. Give us a look at this. You did what? You jammed your fingers in a TCR door. You're not even driving TCR. What are you doing?
I don't know. That's the problem. At least I knew what I was doing when I drove this. So, no, the car's awesome to drive. Yeah, tomorrow's going to be really interesting, starting from P7, so that's going to be an interesting race. So I'm looking forward to it already. And yeah, just got to thank everyone who's come on board, Penrite Oil, Scandia Heating, DeVilbus and Sky Sands. And yeah, looking forward to it.
Well, you're going to have to pass some cars tomorrow because we reverse the top 8 for qualifying race 2, and then we'll have the feature race on SBS. Well done, Tom Randall. Great job.
Awesome, cheers, thanks.
We'll jump around to the man who finished runner-up in this car, in this scarlet red racer that Rubens Barrichello raced in the last event at Sandown. I'm going to weave my way through here. Here he is. Hey, Anton. This guy Randall took off there and didn't make it much fun there. He was fast.
Yeah, a little bit too quick for all of us dudes. We were kind of a little bit close when he was heading off into the distance, so we all got a little bit of work ahead of us. But yeah, second's good to start off, so look forward to tomorrow.
What did you learn about S5000 in terms of now having done an actual race rather than just trying to set a fast lap time in qualifying or do a practice run? What did you learn from a race?
Not too much. I had a pretty average start, got a heap of wheel spin, and then just wasn't quick enough. So we've got a little bit of work to do overnight and try and come back quicker tomorrow and put a bit more of a show on.
You look a little down here. You've had such a good year with Erebus in the supercar. You were on the podium here in the supercars earlier in the year, but any race car, even if it's not part of the series that you normally race, you want to win. You look really upset about this.
No, I'm not upset. It's obviously a really good day, but it's never a good feeling when you get smoked. So, yeah, I'm obviously happy to be here, having a good time, but I'm pretty competitive like all of us, so we all want to go better and win and things like that, so nothing changes.
All right, go and do some downloading and see how fast you can make car 99 in tomorrow's race. Another of our double duty drivers actually this weekend is John Martin, out of the Honda Civic Type R, into the S5000, onto the podium. Hey, good stuff.
Yeah, thanks. It's yeah, we're cruising around all right. It's from halfway through the race, I realised I wasn't going to get these guys, so just try and look after the tyre and yeah, see what we got for the next one, I guess. So.
This category made such a great impression 2 months ago at Sandown, and now we bring a 10-car field to the Ben Motorsport Park. You've been around open wheeler racing in so many different categories over the years. Where's this stacking up? What have people been asking you about and saying to you both from Australia and overseas?
Oh, I mean, it's had a lot of, had a lot of interest, definitely. It's certainly with, like, obviously Rubens coming and the showing that we put on at Sandown. It's a lot of people are loving it, so yeah, I was lucky enough to get some support to come back and do this round as well, and I think S5000 really suits the Ben, like it just suits this style of car, so it's definitely a joy to drive the things around here. It's a joy to drive them anywhere really, but around here it's pretty cool.
And very, very quickly, the Honda TCR car, it's a bit different from this one, but you've got 2 more races in that tomorrow and you charge your way through earlier on.
Yeah, unfortunately we had to start at the back because we had to change an engine. That's just the way it goes, so it's yeah, that sucks, but yeah, got up. I'm not sure where we finished, as I pretty much got out of that thing, I legged it down and jumped in this, but yeah, no, 2 decent results for today. We got to tune both cars up, so it's yeah, definitely the BRM guys. Congrats to them guys. They've definitely come here and they've got a lot of speed. So we need to find some stuff. We found a little bit overnight. We need to find a little bit more now. So I'm working on it.
We'll let you go and find that speed. All the best tomorrow.
Cheers. Thanks, buddy.
Amazing the amount of experience John Martin. We've seen him with Liam Talbot over the years in the Australian GT Championship. We take a look at the highlights. Qualifying race number 1 of S5000. That was the big moment for Will Brown, which his car's come to a stop just after the finish of the race. He just got on the dirt and that snapped sideways. That was the only invitation Jimmy Golding needed in that process to move up and ultimately finish in 4th position. Anton Di Pasquale, you could hear the dejection in his voice then. A bit of work to do tomorrow. He's going to catch in Tom Randall, who was just in a different league. We paused to let the cars go past the start-finish line there at full noise. And full noise that went to Tom Randall today, 9.8 seconds for the victory, and the fastest lap of the race on the penultimate lap, 141.25 here in the qualifying race for the S5000s here today at the Ben Motorsport Park.